as usually happens, we eventually relate this to solving equations. So we're going to talk about how to solve equations by factoring. And that's what you can do. Some equations, it's helpful to factor to be able to solve the equation. So just look at these three examples. 3 times 0 is 0. 0 times 2 minus 2 is 0. Negative 312 times 0 is 0. 0 times 0.25 is 0. Notice that in each case, at least one of the factors is 0. These examples are demonstrations of what's called the zero product property. The zero product property says that when you have two or more quantities multiplied together and the answer is 0, then at least one of the factors has to be 0. Okay, now here you already knew one of the factors was 0. Okay, but when you're solving equations, if you have two quantities multiplied together and it's set equal to 0, you know that one or the other factor has to be equal to 0, and that's pretty much what the zero product property is. Remember that a solution or a root of an equation is any value that makes the equation true. So let's solve and check this equation. You have 2d plus 6 times 3d minus 15 equals 0. When you have things multiplied together, set equal to 0, it should be a glaring red flag. Burn it in your brain that you want to set each one equal to 0. However, if it's not set equal to 0, you can't do it like this. If I had 2d plus 6 times 3d minus 15 equals 4, you cannot do 2d plus 6 equals 4 and 3d minus 15 equals 4. It does not work like that. It only works if it's set equal to 0, because multiplication has that special property that when two or more quantities are multiplied together and the answer is 0, at least one of the factors has to be 0. But that's not true with any number except 0. All right? So for this one, let's get going. You set the equation equal to 0. So each factor you set equal to 0. And then you solve each one. So this one you add 6, this one you subtract 6, this one you add 15. Divide by 2 here, divide by 3. And the solutions are d equals negative 3 and d equals 5 and d equals 5. You can check that by substituting negative 3 and 5 in for d in the original equation. Now, don't put negative 3 in this one and 5 in this one. This is saying that negative 3 works for d, and 5 should also work for d separately. So I'm going to substitute negative 3 in for d in the whole entire equation anywhere there's a d. Okay? Then when you simplify it, you do get 0, so it means it works. Then I do the same thing with a 5. And when you substitute 5 in, it simplifies to 0, and it works. All right? Now check this one out. C squared equals 3c. Is it set equal to 0? No. So I can't use the zero product property. But I can set it equal to 0 by subtracting 3c from both sides. Now it's set equal to 0. But I still can't use the zero product property because, remember, zero product property. You have a difference here, not a product. So I can factor out the GCF, which is a c from both of them. So I have c times c minus 3. Now I have the product here, c times c minus 3. Set each factor equal to 0. c equals 0, c minus 3 equals 0. This one's already solved, so I don't have to do anything else. This one, just add 3 to both sides and you get c equals 3. Pretty cool, huh? So the roots are 0 and 3, and you can solve that by substituting 0 or 3 into the original equation. Now look, the original equation is c squared equals 3c. If I plug in c equals 0, I'd have 0 squared equals 3 times 0, which is 0 equals 0, so that works. And if I do c equals 3, I would have 3 squared equals 3 times 3, or 9 equals 9. That one works. Alrighty? All right, here's a couple for you to try. Go ahead and pause the video. Okay, we're back. So the first one is already set up as a product. So you do 3n equals 0 and n plus 2 equals 0. First one divide by 3, you get n equals 0. Second one subtract 2, you get n equals negative 2. All right, and those are your roots, or the solutions. Second one, you have to factor first. I can take an 8 and a b out of both of those. So 8b sits outside, and then you would have a b left here and a 5 left here. Set that equal to 0. Then set each factor equal to 0. 8b equals 0. b minus 5 equals 0. Divide by 8 here, you get b equals 0. Add 5 here, you get b equals 5. All right, and those are the two roots or solutions. Last one here, notice it's not set equal to 0, so add 10x to both sides to get it set equal to 0. Then you can factor out the GCF of x, so x times x plus 10 equals 0. Then each factor, x equals 0, x plus 10 equals 0. This one's already solved for x, so it's x equals 0. Subtract 10 here, and you would get x equals 10. Alrighty. All right. So Penny is a fox terrier who competes with her trainer in the agility course. Within the course, Penny must leap over a hurdle. Penny's jump can be modeled by the equation h equals negative 16t squared plus 20t, where h is the height of the leap in inches at t seconds. Find the values of t when h is 0. So I have my original equation. It says substitute h equals 0. So set equal to 0. Notice the right-hand side, I can factor out a 4 and a t. So I set 4t equal to 0 and negative 4t plus 5 equals 0. So divide by 4 here, you get t equals 0. Subtract 5, then divide by 4, and I get 5/4 or 1.25. So Penny's height is 0 inches at 0 seconds and 1.25 seconds into the jump. So it makes sense, think about it, at 0 seconds, that's right as she jumped. Right as soon as you start to jump, you're still on the ground. So your height would be 0. 1.25 seconds later, that's kind of like when she lands. So her height would be 0 again. So it's like she went up and then back down. All right, the hop of a kangaroo can be modeled by h equals 24t minus 16t squared, where h represents the height of the hop in meters and t is the time in seconds. Find the values of t when h is 0. Okay, go ahead and pause the video. All right, so you have your equation. H equals 24t minus 16t squared. Substitute 0 in for h. Now this one you can factor out 8 and a t, so 8t, 3 minus 2t. So you set each factor equal to 0, 8t equals 0, 3 minus 2t equals 0. Here divide by 8, you would get t equals 0 still. Subtract 3, you have negative 2t equals negative 3. Divide by negative 2, this would pop it into 3/2 or 1.5. So the answers are t equals 0 seconds. Is it seconds? Yes, seconds. And t equals 1.5 seconds. Alrighty. Hope that's what you got. All right, guys, that's it for this section. Hope that was helpful to you and understandable. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Make sure you continue on to your assignment, and take care.